Okay. So next we have His Grace Bimla Prasad Prabhu. Now, Bimla Prasad Prabhu, you may have seen at the start we were playing that video, which unfortunately got cut off because I was really interested to hear his reasons for or how his bubble was burst when he was thinking he was going to go and teach deity worship in Punjabi Bagh. But he's been in Punjabi Bagh Temple for many years. He's a very wonderful Vaishnav. He's he likes to study and research deeply. He's actually written a course on Gayatri, chanting Gayatri, which is very quite deep actually. I read the handbook he wrote on it. It was like I was astounded. There's so many things in there I'd never understood about Gayatri. So very wonderful. And so Bimla, your topic is, let me go to it. I've lost the topic. Help. Oh, here it is. Got it. I got it. Emerging and re-emerging challenges of temple worship. Yeah. So, okay, bro. I'll hand it over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for this opportunity. So I deliberately chose this topic because I felt we have got very limited time, and straight, like without much ado, let's go to this. My topic is emerging and re-emerging challenges of temple worship, and then getting down to the brass tacks, basically. So as we understand, the basic conception, which is universal, is that respect to a powerful thing or being is shown by paying attention to them. So we understand whatever is powerful, so they need to be respected. And from that idea of respect comes the basic idea of reverential worship. I'm just connecting that. What I intend is to highlight a few aspects. I have never traveled outside of India, so then I don't have any practical experience so far. The European yatras are concerned, so I also discussed that. But at the same time, I figured this out. Fortunately or unfortunately, whatever like happens here in India travels around the ripples. They travel around the world. So then I felt that some of these things might be like we can be better prepared if we discuss this here. This is the forum. So here's one thing you will I believe you will be you would agree to that generally communities all around the world have got temples, communities, but in ISKCON generally temple have communities. So it's generally the other way around. So anyway, so why it is so, like in generally, as far as India is concerned, many people, they like to come to our temples. Why do they generally like to come to our temples? Why do we attract crowd at all? I don't know about like the Western Hemisphere, but as far as I see here, because in our temples, there is a lot of social life, like if you go to other traditional ashrams, smaller temples, traditional temples, even in India, you go there, you do your worship, whatever your prayers, basically not worship, you just go there, fold your hands, offer your prayers, whatever your conception of God may be, and whatever kind of relationship you have. And then if you are fortunate enough, there is a pujari around, he might give you a little bit of charnamrit or maybe some sort of prasadam, and that's it. And then you are on your way out. And but when you come to an ISKCON temple, generally somebody who comes to an ISKCON temple ends up spending at least a couple of hours. And that's not just because they are having darshan of the deities for those couple of hours. The darshan may last for 5 or 10 minutes, whatever his conception may be. And then there are so many other things in the temple where to socialize. Although that is deliberate because that aids preaching. But on the other hand, that also adds up to a lot of distractions. So that's what I am trying to, because whatever is going to follow is basically following from that. My internet connection is not very good. So would you mind if I turn off my video so that at least I'm audible? For the timing, let's see, it should, let's see how it goes. So as I was continuing, it's like you go to, you come to our temple, you can have your japmala, hang around and talk and japa and do japa also, socialize. You can go to our Govindas, you can spend time over there. So the basic idea, although it is there to facilitate preaching, but if there are not enough preachers to take care of devotees who are coming, then they end up wasting their time in the temple and doing things which actually makes the the sacred environment of the temple, they take it for granted. So so what happens as a result of that? I'll put out a few things. Say, for example, we invite the deity when we do this temple, we do this program of installing the deities, and we invite the deities. So the deities are invited, and that is a pran pratishtha, maybe wherever we do it. Now it is the duty of all the devotees to ensure that Krishna stays there and Krishna is comfortable there. It's although we are inviting Krishna in the deity, that doesn't actually presupposes that we have captured the Krishna inside the deity. So therefore, what we see here is what Krishna is only expecting from us is our sincere offering of our devotion to him. Nowadays, in India, I'm seeing these things, and that's why we have got this deity worship ministry in place, which can certainly help. Is this concept of gradually outsourcing devotional service. How does that sound? Outsourcing devotional service. What is outsourcing devotional service? You might be wondering. Say, for example, just prior to my presentation, Kripamaya Prabhu was talking about everybody should do puja. But we can outsource that puja by saying, okay, so for certain number of devotees, or certain devotees, they do the puja and the rest of us have got nothing to do with that. And we might think that, okay, that's a fair thing to do, or maybe we are habituated to do that. This is the way we have seen it, and it will continue like that. I am afraid it might not continue like that. Once we start this conception of not as Prabhu said, that compartmentalizing those things in the name of making it more efficient in terms of efficiency, but at the cost of our devotion, and our cost of like how to of those opportunities to get close to Krishna. I'll give you certain other examples, and you will see the same trait is there. We see the rise of professional kirtaniyas in ISKCON. Remember, like 20, 30 years ago, if you have a program, you are the one who's going to do the kirtan. Nobody is coming for kirtan. But now you can you can hire kirtaniyas, all like quote and unquote devotee kirtaniyas with tilak, with initiation, neck beads, everything. But you got to pay to them. Okay, fine. Somebody comes to my house, a devotee comes to my house, I might cook for them. I've got 20 devotees. Okay, I might hire a caterer. Again, my prasadam is outsourced. My kirtan is outsourced. My worship, as I already said, it is outsourced. So what can be next? Bhagavad Saptas, that's also happening in India, and lo and behold, if that's happening here, the waves, as I said, can also go to the Western Hemisphere. So gradually like that, like, okay, fine. Sometimes you might even say, coming to Vrindavan or coming to Mayapur. How about having tourist guides? But is that how we take devotees to? No, that like coming to the dham is part of 64 limbs of bhakti, but that can easily be done like that. So the point I'm trying to, I don't want to raise unnecessary fear, but at the same time, it's good because Prabhupada says in one of the purpose, that's there in 4th canto, 24th chapter, verse number 45 and 46. Prabhupada says that if we do not follow the regulative principles on the Vidhi Mark platform and keep our eyes trained to spot offenses, we will not make progress. So these are the things which are like, if you don't spot it, if you don't like catch it, they're like when this is happening, and we take it as like it in the stride. So they will become the new normal. Just like the puja aspect has become a new normal, then the kirtan aspect has become a new normal, then gradually the prasadam aspect has become a new normal, then maybe the vandana will become the next new normal. Everything, the whole 64 limbs will become new normal of outsourcing everything. So therefore, I personally, because I'm quite worried when I see these things, and this generally you see in like Indian devotees generally have this tendency to mix all these things and make a khichdi out of it. In India, I can tell you things just like due to some problems, you must have heard. There used to be Rath Yatras at every yatra used to take out their own Rath Yatras, but due to some court cases, the Rath Yatras has been regulated by the government, and you can only take out Rath Yatras as selected dates. Basically, like close to the time when the Rath Yatra actually happens in Jagannath Puri. So many temples, at least in North India, I'm aware of, they have started doing things like how to like bypass that thing. So let's not have Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra for the Rath Yatra. Let's have Krishna Balaram Rath Yatra. Let's have Gaurnitai Rath Yatra. Let's have that Rath Yatra, this Rath Yatra. You see? So like it's like it might sound very innocent, but where is the evidence for like that kind of things? And in the name of preaching, we can do something, can start something, but who's going to put the genie back in the bottle? So therefore, like as close as we can stay with Guru Sadhu Shastra, if we can do that, and certainly there are innovations, certainly preaching requires innovations. Without if we don't change with the times, then certainly we will be outdated and our techniques will become archaic. But the central point is to please Krishna. So like the point when we are coming up with a new idea of preaching, or that involves deities, are we playing to the galleries, or our first business is to see the pleasure of Krishna? So that's the fundamental question. That's the brass tacks I was talking about, getting down to the basics. So these things are like, as I can see, and I see one way of putting things in the proper perspective and setting things right by empowering the DT worship ministry, by becoming the wherever we are, we represent the point of view of the ministry. Why I'm bringing it this, I'll illustrate with a small example. Many times I have heard, and if you have also heard the same thing, please raise your hands, like by clicking the raise hand icon. How many times have you heard that whenever something new is happening and devotees say, no, no, that's happening because we have seen Vrindavan doing that or Mayapur doing that. That's why we are following the queue. How many times or how many of you have ever heard that? That we are doing that because Vrindavan is doing that or Mayapur is doing that. Okay. All right. So my very simple plain question retort would be, how many of those devotees who are now referring to Mayapur and Vrindavan have taken the permission to install the deities in their temple from Vrindavan and Mayapur? So if you haven't, like, if the authority to worship the deities or install the deities is coming from the ministry, which is basically GBC, so I think the standards also has to come from them and not from, like, once you have got deities installed, then like you can follow all the 700 or 800 temples around the world. That's not what it is supposed to be. And that's because that's how it works. He says this and they says that, and like this temple started it, and then nobody takes any responsibility. So therefore, I think that coming back to the basics, though, going to the brass tacks means following the Guru Sadhu Shastra by seeing what the ministry has to say and keep it as close to that as possible. So we have been authorized by our Guru and the sadhus represented by the GBC and the ministry. So that is going to solve a lot of things because we are training devotees for more than a decade now. Like at least the Mayapur Academy, which is the Sodam, I would say, of deity worship ministry, it is training devotees at least, I think, per year, at least 50 to 60 on an average, if not more. I think it's the figure is it's a conservative figure. We are training more devotees than that per year average. So it's not that we are not training people, but now there have to be certain Prabhu is saying now 150 to 200. Like I said, like since the time when we started, we were like, and then now we are, so then somewhere down in, we might be if it averages out, it should be 60 or 70 people at least now. So I'm saying it's not like there is any dearth of training or dearth of devotees taking the training, but I feel now the ministry has to, through the representative, which is all of us sitting over here, has to also enforce that discipline. What is the use of the training if that training is not applied? Or like you cannot have your way with the training and you say that, like, okay, this thing is our tradition, that is our tradition and our tradition. So there is a difference between diversity and outright anarchy. So that thing has to be taken care of. Otherwise, as I said, that we will be starting things, we won't be able to stop. Just like Kripamay Prabhu was also mentioning about second initiated devotees and second initiated devotees doing worship. So I would also like to bring out a very interesting point, and if like we can have a discussion on that, that would be, I think, very prudent. What is the definition of a Kanishtha according to Bhagavatam? If you go to the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, and you see 3 consecutive verses, the first verse talk about the Uttamadhikari, the second verse talk about the Madhyamadhikari, and the third verse talks about the Kanishtadhikari. And what is the definition of what is the telltale sign of the Kanishtadhikari? We know that what he don't do, the Kanishtadhikari doesn't respect devotees. Fair enough. Not fair enough, but I'm saying like that's the definition. Okay, fine. That's one of the characteristics. By the way, what does he do?
He sees the Lord in the deity.
He sees, come again?
The Lord in the deity.
Yes, that means he worships the deity, basically. It's, if you can see the translation, Archa evam haraye. He does archana. And the translation goes like that, he does the archana in the temple. So now, the next question, now because like I have trapped you, now the next question is going to be the moment of reckoning. Who is qualified to worship in our temples? Second initiated devotees, right? So if a second initiated devotee, if a devotee takes 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years to just get second initiated, that means like to be stamped formally as a Kanishtha before he goes to the altar and does the worship. That speaks volumes that much needs to be changed, much needs to be amended. So as Prabhu said, like for Bhakti Shastri, like after 50 years we are here and we are talking about, okay, at least let's add a puja component to that. But Prabhupada, before the letters, I would say, like, because when Nrsimha Prabhu said that, like, yeah, there are letters of Prabhupada where he says that how Bhakti Shastri should become conducted. There should be this theory part and there should be this practical part. But even much before that, if you go to 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, verse number 22 purport, you will see Prabhupada says there is bookish knowledge and there is practical devotional service. Thus, like, you know, the first line is bookish knowledge and the second line is like practical devotional service. And then he talks about the whole program, right from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. Wherever you are, he at least mentions 24 deities. Like any of them, whoever we are worshipping, any of the Dashavatars, any of the Vishnu Tattvas, Shaligram, anything, but there should be worship. Because it's a whole package. So then that is also required that that's of course not in our hands, but whoever the powers that be, quote unquote, they should be taking note of this, that more and more devotees should be offered this opportunity to worship the deity. So then, like, we can say, if the point is okay, the final point before I close, what do we call bhakti? I'll give you a hint what I'm aiming at. Generally, we use the term Harinam Prabhu. How many of us have heard that? Practically everyone, I believe. Just the, like, if you nod your head, I can understand. Okay, fine. What do you call bhakti? Just like you say Harinam Prabhu, what do you call bhakti? Is there a surname
Bhakti
to bhakti
Devi.
also?
Bhakti Devi.
Devi, okay, fine. Devi, okay, fine. So Devi means what do you understand? That's the, like a goddess, right? Goddess. And we would like to believe that Bhakti Devi, the goddess, must be very beautiful. I don't think she will be scary, or she would be like horrible, like just like Kali. It should be like, like generally like a gopi, right? So now, if that, say for example, there's this very beautiful girl, Bhakti Devi, a gopi, a very beautiful girl. Now you take, say for example, that beautiful girl, very beautiful girl, doesn't have a leg. She has a leg missing. What happens when you see a very beautiful girl with a missing leg? What comes inside you? What do you feel? What do you feel?
I feel sorry.
Yes, Chandrakanti Mataji. Go ahead. What do you feel when you see a very beautiful girl doesn't have a leg? She is having a crutch, walking with a crutch. Compassion. Murli Manohar Prabhu says compassion, or maybe pity. What if if you see a very beautiful girl having both the legs missing? More pitiful. Now, say for example, she doesn't have even both of the arms. No, but there is, I can show you a video. There is a girl, I'm sitting in Vrindavan, just 30 kilometers away in Govardhan. This girl, she is there, and she doesn't have both her legs and both her arms. And their parents take her for a parikrama every day for Govardhan, and she gets some donations, and that's how they survive. But there is, I'm not talking about something in thin air. There are people like that who don't have both the limbs. The arms are missing, legs are missing. Okay? Now, hold it right there. I'm not done yet. Now the girl has got the torso missing. What does that person would look like? There is a character in Bhagavatam like that. That's a hint. Okay, I won't take much of your time. It's Rahu. Remember Rahu, whose head was chopped off by Vishnu? So he's there. So whatever he eats, which is he basically swallows sun and moon, because they are his enemies. But what happens? Whenever he swallows the sun and moon, but because he doesn't have the torso, it comes out. It doesn't stay inside. And next, Rahu looks horrible. Rahu was not that horrible when he had all his limbs. But when his body was chopped off, now he looks horrible. Come back to the same Bhakti Devi. How many limbs Bhakti Devi have? Hands, legs, we call it 64. So if the entire Bhakti Devi is not being addressed in our daily life, we are not taking advantage of the whole Bhakti Devi, which is all the 64 limbs, what chances are of progress is there in our lives? That is in proportion to that. Devotees who do not have deities at home, I'm giving you some examples, brazen examples. Devotees who do not have deities at home never miss Charnamrit. They don't miss it in their lives. It's only when they come to the temple and somebody says, Prabhu, they say, oh yeah, Charnamrit. And they don't have deities at home. They don't miss parikrama. Oh, when they come to the temple, oh, there is a parikrama, there is a parikrama. And I can go on telling you limbs of deities, limbs of bhakti. How many limbs of bhakti, like we let it pass like that? So deities, a deity worship like brings more than 50% of the limbs. It's not only for people who are staying in the temple. And you guess what? Now many people can bring so many quotations from Bhagavatam, and they can show you, oh, the sannyasis and the brahmacharis are exempt from worship. They can go out, do their preaching and do this and that, and then the householders should do the worship. But if there is a Bhakti Devi and there is a nectar of devotion, if our Sampradaya Acharya, which our founder Acharya says is the law book of ISKCON, and I'm not talking about ISKCON law book, I'm talking about the law book of Bhakti, and the 64 limbs, and you chop off the entire thing, and you only have the bead bag in your hand, chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, like this one thing is there, and all this, every other limb has been like either outsourced or you don't care for that. And then after 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, everybody has the same question. Prabhu, I'm chanting for so many years. I'm not getting any taste. So like what should we be expecting in our lives? And what should be what will be the future of ISKCON, and what would be the future of those people who we are preaching but not training them in worship? They will be all becoming Rahus in due course of time. So it's high time, I think, that I made my point, and like, please correct me and comment any rejoinders, remarks, questions.
Thank you very much, Bimla Prabhu, with, as always, your strong, bold preaching. Does anyone have any comments or questions they'd like to ask Bimla Prasad? And I didn't mention it before, but Bimla Prasad Prabhu is one of our teaching staff in Mayapur at the Mayapur Academy, and he generally heads up the Bengali course we do each year. So he's very active. Any questions for Bimla Prasad Prabhu?
There's something in the chat. Oh no.
Yeah, chat if you like.
That would be all, Prabhuji. And I seek forgiveness if I've made something, I said something which is inappropriate. Please,
That's right.
humble obeisance.
Thank you, Bimla Prasad Prabhu, and thank you for taking the time to join us.